Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel that takes you deep inside the San Francisco 49ers. I am your host, Jack Hammer, and today we are going to take a look at what everybody doesn't want you to hear when it comes to Brock Purdy and his timeline to return from the torn UCL that he suffered in the NFC Championship game. Now, to start with, let me explain where this is coming from. I've spent this entire offseason listening from the time that Brock Purdy hurt his elbow through now. I've been listening to what everybody's saying, whether it's Brock Purdy himself, 49ers head coach Kyle Shanahan, 49ers general manager John Lynch, the doctors. In addition to that, I've been reading up on the injury, doing as much research as I can, and this is the information based off of everything that's been told to us. What we know is that Brock Purdy injured his UCL on January 30th. Remember, he tore it early on in that NFC Championship game against the Eagles. From there, we know that on March 10th, he underwent the internal brace procedure. That was the surgery performed by Dr. Keith Meister out in Dallas. Well, once that surgery occurred, we were told by the 49ers that his timeline to return would be about 6 months. In doctor speak, that 6 months equates to 24 weeks. So from March the 10th, you add 24 weeks of that, that takes you to August 25th. That would be, if he goes the entire length of time, that would mean that his return would be August 25th. What we know as of now, though, is he's ahead of schedule, because the other part that came out during the time of the surgery was that the 49ers general manager John Lynch actually said this on the radio on KNBR, that they would know more about the return and his throwing procedure and all of that right around that 3-month mark. And again, 3 months equals 12 weeks. So for Brock Purdy, again, March 10th was the surgery. 12 weeks from that was June 2nd, right in the middle of 49ers OTAs and minicamp. Well, we know that he's ahead of that schedule based on the information that's been provided by the team, by Brock Purdy and everybody else. Now, remember, when you undergo a surgery for a torn UCL and you undergo the internal brace procedure, your return from that, your throwing regimen starts with just simulating the throwing motion. And we know that Brock Purdy started doing that on May 11th. And how do we know that? Kyle Shanahan told us on May 11th that Brock Purdy was out on the field during OTAs violently throwing a towel. So that shows that he was already starting his return and his throwing motion and return to throwing activities at that point. We know that further because on May 29th, Brock Purdy was already throwing a full-size football. For him to be throwing a full-size football at that point puts him at least 2 to 3 weeks ahead of the schedule that was originally given to us. Now, it goes beyond that as well, because during 49ers OTAs and minicamp, we had the opportunity to chat with Brock Purdy himself. And at that time, Brock Purdy told us that he would be going through the entire offseason program in Santa Clara with the 49ers, and that if everything went well and that he was feeling good, he would be going out to Jacksonville to work with his quarterback coach, Will Hewlett, and orthopedic specialist, Dr. Tom Gormley. And the goal there would be to get him ready so that he could get his throwing motion back under control and really work on everything similar to what he did leading up to the draft and post-draft last year before his rookie season. Now, the report has come out earlier this week that Brock Purdy is in fact out in Jacksonville. He is in fact throwing with Hewlett and Gormley there. So this puts him, again, well ahead of schedule, well ahead of where he should be. Now, you know, this offseason, we've heard all kinds of dates as far as when he could return. It was, week 1, maybe week 4, beginning of training camp. It's been all over the board. But this is the most that we know, is that right now, he is well ahead of schedule. And with him throwing the ball now, he's probably, I would say, like I said a minute ago, probably about 2 to 3 weeks ahead of where he should be at this point. I would expect that if there are no complications for Brock Purdy in his recovery from this injury with his throwing regimen as this continues on, as long as everything is continuing to progress as it should, we will see Brock Purdy on the field for the majority of training camp in Santa Clara. I've set the date as around August 10th to 14th, somewhere in that area, which gives him about a month, a little bit more possibly, to be ready for the start of the regular season and go through training camp. But we'll see. He might even beat my expectations, and I've been pretty optimistic on this thing throughout. There you have it. Take it for what it's worth. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you can do me a favor, please subscribe if you already haven't done so. Also, if you haven't so far, turn on your notifications so you don't miss any of the updates right here on Inside the 49ers with Jack Hammer. And one last thing, please make sure you hit that like button because that helps out the channel greatly. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and we talk with you soon.